Alright guys, this video is to do with overcoming isometric exercises. Alright, what they are, why I do them, how other people have done them that I know of, the success they've had with them, and why I think other people, specifically martial artists, climbers, strength athletes, should be doing them too, okay? About a month or two ago, my guy Nick Jenkins was asking about these. Been a long time coming. Also, there's a few people just kind of confused by some of the exercises I do and upload to my channel. So this is for those people who are confused about what the hell I'm doing as well. Alright, so to understand isometric exercises, you gotta understand the three main types of muscle contractions. Alright. I'll use an easy example, a pull-up, okay? So you're doing a pull-up, you're hanging from a bar. When you pull yourself up, your muscles are shortening as they're contracting, all right? That is a concentric muscle contraction, okay? Now at the top, when you start lowering slowly, okay, your muscles are lengthening as they're contracting, and that is an eccentric muscle contraction. All right, now let's say at some point of the pull-up you decide to pause and hold the contraction at a certain point. That would be an isometric contraction, and that is when your muscles are contracting without lengthening or shortening. They're not moving at all, they're just contracting at a specific angle, okay? That is isometric. All right, so an isometric exercise then would just be holding a position. Any kind of position you want to hold that is an isometric exercise. But there are two main types of isometric exercise. There's enduring isometrics and there's overcoming isometrics, which is the kind that I prefer to do and I think are the most beneficial for strength-based athletes, okay? Now, an enduring isometric, for example, would be like holding a plank, all right? We all know what a plank is, right? If you're fairly fit, you can probably hold a plank for a minute or two, maybe a little longer. That is an enduring isometric, and the purpose of that kind of isometric exercise is to build your muscular endurance, okay, at a specific position, all right? So plank, you're working your abdomen, your chest, your triceps, anterior shoulders, hip flexors, quads, your toes a little bit, tibialis, stuff like that. Hold that for 2 minutes, that's an enduring isometric. Now, let's use the plank now to explain the overcoming isometric exercise. If you want to make a plank an overcoming isometric exercise, instead of just holding that position and maintaining that posture, we're going to drive our hands and our toes, which are in contact with the ground, into the ground as hard as we freaking can, okay? Just like trying to push the earth away from you, okay? That would be an overcoming isometric, okay? And in that exercise, you're trying to build the most possible muscle tension, all right? You're trying to really irradiate your whole body. Use everything you have to push yourself into the ground, okay, as hard as you can. Think like a sprint, except you're not moving, okay? So it might last 10 to 20 seconds maybe would be a good amount of time to practice that kind of exercise, because like a sprint, you're going to run out of ATP, okay? You're not going to be able to really maintain that high intensity, that kind of like hard as you can intensity for that long. You're going to run out of energy, run out of steam, okay? Now, what's the point of doing that, all right? There's all kinds of points. For me specifically, I just uploaded a video like an hour ago or something of me doing like a static pull on a fingerboard, all right? Now, there's a few reasons I'm doing that. I'm a climber. I climb frequently. I'm trying to get stronger in my tendons, my fingers, all right? And I'm also trying to get stronger while not gaining too much body weight, okay? And not gaining too much muscle. I really want to have tendon hypertrophy or gain like, denser tendons rather than like bigger, denser muscles, all right? Because I don't want to weigh myself down. If I'm too heavy, I'm not gonna be able to climb as well as I can. I weigh like 160 pounds right now. I'm not really trying to gain any more weight. So the tendons, especially in the forearm and fingers, respond very well to static exercises. And there's plenty of other muscle groups that also seem to respond very well. The abdomen, for instance, can respond well. You can build a lot of muscle, build a lot of strength in your abdomen through static exercises. Think about if you're into powerlifting, for instance. If you do heavy squats and heavy deadlifts, you're bracing your core, and your abdomen really isn't moving. It's staying static as your hips, are doing all the work, and your legs and stuff like that. But you might notice that as you're getting stronger in the squat and the deadlift, that you're getting like, kind of a denser, thicker, stronger looking abdomen. And that's because, again, the abdominal muscles will respond well to static exercise. Now, there's muscles that won't respond well to static exercises too. Generally speaking, you might just be like a person who responds well to any exercise. You might get huge from anything. But for most people, let's say the arms don't really respond well to like static exercise, or the legs don't really respond well to static exercise as much as they would to dynamic, exercises where you're actually moving through a range of motion. All right. The reason being is because static or isometric exercises aren't going to, do a lot of muscle damage. Okay. If you're into bodybuilding, you should know that, let's say you're bench pressing like, 70% of your max, and you're doing that for like 15 reps or something for 3 sets. You're gonna get all kinds of micro tears in your pectoralis major, your triceps, your anterior shoulders. And because of that, your body is going to respond in a certain way, especially if you're intaking a lot of protein and vitamins and minerals, and getting lots of sleep. Okay, so you've torn up your body, and now you gotta wait like a few days for those micro tears to heal, and for your body to super compensate, okay, to that work you've done by building more muscle fibers and more strength in that specific region and in that range of motion. Okay, so you might be able to bench press like 3 times a week or something. You won't be able to do it every freaking day at a certain intensity. It will just be breaking your body down constantly. You'll injure yourself. Okay, that's kind of the basis of bodybuilding, right? Tear yourself up, rest and eat a lot, come back stronger and bigger. Okay, now for isometrics, again, I'm not trying to gain weight, so I don't want to have a bunch of micro tears and then like super compensate and get like fucking huge, you know what I mean? I'm trying to maintain my weight and get huge in very particular areas, particularly the tendons of the forearms and the fingers, okay, which do respond well to the static exercise. All right, so that's why I do the static pulls, because I don't really want my arms to be bigger. I want my forearms, my fingers to grow and get a lot stronger and denser in the tendons, okay? Other people who might benefit from this would be like martial artists or fighters, or people who are competing in a certain weight class, okay? Let's say I'm like 160, let's say I wanted to fight at like a 155 pound weight class or something, okay? Then I might want to not do too much dynamic, heavy weighted exercises. I might want to do, a lot of cardio, of course, a lot of skill work, fighting, sparring, stuff like that. And then for strength, I might try to do some overcoming isometrics or enduring isometrics, for instance, okay, holding lots of planks, stuff like that. One thing I was thinking of before I made this video that I used to do when I was into jiu-jitsu was, I got this from Eddie Bravo, okay? Eddie Bravo is the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu guy. He started like 10th Planet Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. People who are into Jiu-Jitsu should know who the hell he is, right? Now he did this exercise. Let me change the camera angle a little bit for you. That should be good enough. Where he would take his knee and he would basically just choke his knee out. Oh, like as hard as he could, okay? And that is a kind of overcoming isometric exercise. And he would just do this throughout the day, you know, and that would get him very, very strong in that particular position of like a rear naked choke, for instance. And he said that he would do this many times throughout the day, you know, just watching TV, choke his knee, you know, working in the office, choke his knee real quick. He would do this over and over and over again. And this is an isometric exercise, so you're not going to get any really like micro tears. There's not a whole lot to recover from, so he's able to do that pretty frequently too, okay? And even though he's a small guy, probably not a very strong guy, I don't think he's deadlifting a lot of weight and stuff like that. But since he trained that specific angle that would be used in like a rear naked choke, for instance, he was extremely strong there, and he was choking out all kinds of freaking people, okay? I did this exercise too when I heard about him talking about it on, I think, Joe Rogan podcast or something like 12 years ago. I started doing that too. And I found I got so damn strong in my chokes, like it really did work. And that was kind of like my first introduction to overcoming isometric exercises. And I remember one time I was sparring a guy who was a little bit heavier than me. And I got him in a bad position, started choking him out. And he was so strong that he kind of like grabbed my other arm and like pinned it somewhere. But I still had this arm free. And I was able to just choke him out with that one arm. Because I was so strong from training that position against my knee. Alright? So that was the first time I was like mind blown by like isometric exercises. The second time I found them super useful was when I started studying gymnastics, okay, specifically like men's rings gymnastics, alright, doing like front levers, back levers, human flags, planches, shit like this, L-sits, straddle holds. And I noticed when I started to do those exercises, just holding those positions on the rings and stuff like that, or on the floor with planches and L-sits, I was like, man, I'm getting like, my abs are like huge. I was like, my shoulders are getting huge. Like, I was getting so strong in these like particular areas. Like my brachioradialis was getting big. All these little areas were responding super well to this like static stuff. And that was carrying over super well to my jiu-jitsu at the time as well. Again, because I'm not really gaining a lot of mass, but I am gaining some mass and a lot of strength in particular areas that are important for sports like martial arts, okay? The shoulders, the hips, the abs, even like the neck was getting bigger, okay? Now at this point I'm kind of getting carried away with my, you know, personal anecdotes and like other anecdotes from like other athletes. If you're not a martial artist or if you're not a rock climber, you may think, okay, well, what's the point of this static exercise? What's the point of overcoming isometrics? If you're any kind of strength athlete, especially like a power lifter, for instance, overcoming isometrics can be super, super useful, okay? If you're a strength athlete, you should know Brian Shaw, you know, multiple time world's strongest man. He would use overcoming isometrics in a deadlift, okay? To get his deadlift up. He would find that he would be weak or have trouble in like a specific position of the deadlift. All right, let's say he was getting the bar like past the knees. Like he would be fine, then kind of like struggle here and then finish it off easily, okay? So what he did, what a lot of strength athletes do that know of this kind of exercise, what he would put the barbell on the ground and begin a power rack. And he would have the safety arms of the rack right where he felt was his like weakness or stopping point. And he would just pull the barbell, again, statically into those safety arms as hard as he can for like 10 seconds and then drop it. And that way, he was able to build tremendous strength in that perceived, you know, weak point in his range of motion. so that after like a month, that was like his strongest point of the deadlift, and he really had no weaknesses anymore, and his deadlift was able to improve and strengthen. Okay, so that's another way, another reason to do the overcoming isometrics. All right, I'm not telling you to stop doing full range of motion deadlifts or any exercise, but if you do find you have some kind of weakness in that range where you go a little slower or pause a little bit before overcoming it, go ahead and maybe after your regular exercises or before them, do a little bit of like overcoming isometrics at that specific angle, and you will get stronger. Now, another cool thing to mention regarding the overcoming isometrics is that even though you're training a specific joint angle, okay, let's use the knee choke for example. That's just one specific angle, right? Now, you'll get strength in that angle, but also it's been proven by kinesiologists in many studies you can look up on Google or wherever, that you will build strength 15 degrees from that point in any direction. Okay, circumferential strength, all right? So even though, every rear naked choke is kind of different, there's different variations, different size necks, different size people, you're still gonna have a pretty good amount of strength, about 15 degrees in either direction from that one specific point, okay, that you're training, all right? So does that carry over to a broader range of motion, all right? Now, there's one thing you have to watch out for when training overcoming isometrics. It's not going to be the micro tears in muscle, obviously, as I've already gone over. You're not really creating a great amount of muscle damage. But you can wear out the certain muscles or tendons that respond well to that static contraction, okay? Especially at like really tight joint angles or really open joint angles, all right? The one angle where you're gonna have the least shearing force on the joints and the tendons is gonna be 90 degrees, okay? 90-degree joint angles, which is why I train that specifically for climbing, because it won't wear out my elbow, all right? And also, I've got a neutral wrist, okay? The neutral position of the wrist is gonna be important when I'm pulling. If I'm pulling like this, a lot of shearing force right here. If I'm pulling like this, a lot of shearing force right here. For a long time, I was using a cylindrical grip tool to kind of pull, but it was putting my wrist in that weird direction over time. Had a lot of joint pain right here, so I stopped doing that and started doing more of that neutral wrist crimping position at 90 degrees, okay? Now my elbows and my wrist feel fantastic and always strong. The other thing to watch out for, other than like the, very specific like tendon or like joint exhaustion, would be nervous system exhaustion, okay? If you're trying really freaking hard, okay, pulling as hard as you can, for instance, and you do that way too frequently, let's say, 50 times in a day for 10 seconds, you're gonna be burning out your nervous system real hard, okay? So I would say keep the volume moderate, especially if you wanna train every day, all right? Otherwise, you're gonna have to take like 2-3 days off before your nervous system feels better. Okay, you're gonna wake up the next day from like a hard overcoming isometric session, you're gonna feel exhausted, you're gonna feel lethargic, all right? So you wanna prevent this nervous system burnout by just doing moderate volume, okay? And maybe slowly, progressively increasing that volume if you want to, all right? And that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any other questions regarding this kind of exercise, let me know. The video is way too long at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and peace out. Y'all take care, train hard, take it easy, peace.